Let's talk about February. What's happening in the heavens? The sun will be in the constellation Aquarius, the water bearer, from February 16th to March 11th. The moon will enter Aquarius February 17th through February 18th. Combined, these two will create an annular eclipse February 17th, 2026. An annular eclipse is when the moon is closer than the sun and creates the illusion of a ring of fire or a wedding band. On March 3rd, 2026, there will be a blood moon. Biblically, blood moons are associated with judgment. While this blood moon is in March and not in February, it is part of a pattern. That pattern starts April 20th, 2023. Why is this significant? This was Hitler's birthday. 1 year following that, March 25th, 2024, was the first blood moon. A second blood moon appeared 1 year later on March 14th, 2025. And the third blood moon, to finish out this pattern, will be on March 3rd, 2026. Now, in order to have a pattern, you will have to have had a succession of the same thing that came before. Let's look. January 30th, 1933. How is this related? Hitler. Adolf Hitler rose to power on January 30th, 1933. When President Paul von Hindenburg appointed him Chancellor of Germany, this appointment marked the end of the Weimar Republic's democracy and the beginning of a Nazi dictatorship, often referred to as the Third Reich, which transformed Germany into a one-party state. In following with the pattern, 1 year later, on January 30th, 1934, was the first blood moon. The second blood moon followed 1 year after that on January 19th, 1935. And a third blood moon showed up on January 8th, 1936, to finish out this pattern. Could this be a foreshadowing? On this day, the heavens declared a rise to power by a dictator. If this is a pattern, who rose to power on this day? Now we go to February 28th, 2026, the planetary alignment, in which 6 planets will align: Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus, and Mars, to create a parade in the heavens. Solar eclipses and patterns, perfect timepieces. I want to show you something fascinating that I discovered yesterday. This is a menorah, and on this menorah are candles, and each one of these candles has a date on it. Each one of these dates represents an eclipse. The center candle is January 11th, 2024. This is the point at which the solar eclipses go forward and backward at the same distance. So let's look at it. January 11th, 2024. We go forward 89 days to April 8th, 2024. And then we go back 89 days and come to another eclipse on October 14th, 2023. And this goes on in perfection. It's perfectly laid out, the exact amount of days. But the one we want to look at is right here on the 8th arm. This is February 17th, 2026. This is the eclipse, an annular eclipse. Now, not all of these eclipses were the same, so let's look at them. The first one was a total eclipse. The second one was a partial. The third was a total. This is the first annular eclipse in this menorah. Then we go to a total eclipse, a second annular eclipse, a partial eclipse, and a third annular eclipse. And we know that God likes to work in threes. The most interesting thing that I found was that the arms on this are numbered in a way that this one corresponds with 8 because they are same distance apart. to create the number 18, and you will see how that comes into play later. Now we talked about the sun. Let's talk about the moon. How many full moons this year? Well, in the year of 2025, there were 12 full moons, 12 months and 12 full moons. Something very strange in the year 2026. We have 12 months, but we have 13 full moons. I thought that we could only have 12. And how do we justify this 13th moon, and what do we do with it? Well, the biblical year of 2025 started with the pink moon on April 12th. So we count 12 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, we have to incorporate the 13th month because we can't just throw it away. So we mark it off. There will be 13 months in the year of 2025. To note, Sister Angela had a dream a few months ago, and I do believe she named it Blue Lotus Flower. She talks about this dream, and at some point she's to go out and procure flowers. And I believe it's in a clay pot. She picks up 2 blue lotus flowers. So the correlation here is blue, flower, and 2. I do believe, while this dream also means more, that this aspect of it is indicating that this is the first month starting the next year. Typically, at this point in the presentation, I would show you the calendar, and we would go over the days and discuss important things that are happening or going to happen. But I want to introduce something new that I think might be easier to read. And this is inspired by the YouTube channel that is also keeping time correctly by the sun, moon, and stars alone. It's basically an Excel sheet. I'm not getting rid of the other calendar. I'm just showing you this one. In keeping with what the Lord wants us to see, this is the day and the adjusted day. Time is off. So if we were to look at January 9th, the adjusted day is January 27th, which corresponds with February 14th, March 4th, and March 22nd. On this calendar, we start each month with a full moon or a biblical new moon. The blue days are the days in which it takes the moon to successfully go through its phases until it comes back to a renewed moon, which will start the next month. Those will be in the yellow-orange. Now, the dark moon, or what we refer to in our language as new moon, will be in the gray. Now, in order to show you something fascinating, we're going to have to expand this calendar and go backwards. So going backwards, the 9th month was December, the 8th month was November, the 7th month was October, and the 6th month was September. We're going completely back to the beginning, because what we didn't realize was the first bit of information we were given was the first puzzle piece. September 23rd and 24th. Sept meaning 7. We were told to look for the 7th month, 23rd and 24th day. But in working backwards, we can see that September is not the 7th month. And it reminds me of 6767. So sept meaning 7. We're looking for the 7th month and the 23rd and 24th day. When we saw this, we should have realized that at no point could September 23rd and 24th ever be the Feast of Trumpets, because as per Leviticus, Feast of Trumpets is to be held on the first day of the 7th month. The first day of the 7th month would have been October 6th. This is the renewed moon, or the full moon. So we look at the 7th month and we go 23 and 24 days, which would put us on October 28th and 29th. This seems random, doesn't it? Out of place. But actually it's perfection. It's perfect. We established the Feast of Trumpets as the first day. As per Leviticus, the 10th day is a day of atonement. Starting on the 15th, 7 days for the Feast of Tabernacles or booths brings us to the 23rd and 24th day, which is the 8th day of assembly, or Shemini Atzeret. So the first piece of the puzzle actually tells us that the correct day was October 28th and 29th, which is Shemini Atzeret. Now, while I teach that the Gregorian calendar is very flawed, and the good Lord has shown us that time is off on this calendar, He uses this calendar for a specific reason. It's because the Gregorian dates do not change from year to year whenever we look at holidays. They are fixed points, just like the stars in heaven. So every year on December 25th, we celebrate Christmas. October 31st, we celebrate Halloween. So let's take a look at this calendar again and see if there's anything hidden that we can bring into the light. So whenever I'm looking for patterns, I generally look at numbers. So let's look at the numbers at the top here. 1, 3, 19, 21, 8. We look at these numbers across here, and I really can't see anything except for these two numbers match and these two numbers match. So I was led to take two numbers and find the difference. So let's do that. Between 1 and 3 is 2. 3 and 19 is 16. 19 and 21 is 2. 21 and 8 is 13. 8 and 8 is 0. 8 and 26 is 18. 26 and 26 is 0. 26 and 14 is 12. And 14 and 16 is 2. Now when we do this, we can obviously see that there was something hidden in here. The zeros are like a hedge, and they show us a target. The number 18. And this is why I was so amazed when I saw that menorah with the arms 1 and 8 making 18. Because that menorah is nothing but eclipses. And the last one on arm 8 was February 17th, 2026. This is what we were supposed to see. So do we think this is coincidence? I personally don't believe in coincidence. I know that God is perfect in all His ways and everything has an appointed time. It's beautiful. Now, since we know that we're looking at February, in particular February 8th through February 25th, what do we know about February? February. The birthstone for February is amethyst, which is purple. The flower is a violet, which is also purple. Lots of purple. I personally myself have had 2 dreams in the past few months about purple or relating to purple in the Bible. So now let's look at further. So February, what else do we know? February 1st is the snow moon. The snow moon. Now when we look at the Weather Channel, what do we see every time they're talking about snow? Lots and lots of pink. Lots of pink. Now, why is this significant? Did I just randomly choose these colors? No, the good Lord chose these colors. And I'm going to show you something really fascinating. So while I was studying the book of Esther because I was looking up Purim to see what correlation it has to in this time because it is an upcoming celebration. And I was reading about the feast, and they had these hangings in the 7-day feast in the palace, which were blue, white, and green. And the good Lord kept nudging me towards the blue. And I was nudged to look up the Strong's Concordance. And I will give you that information. But the first thing I want to show you is this: bright cerulean blue and cerulean blue. On this calendar, you can see that March is the cerulean blue. The December that was on the previous frame was in the bright cerulean blue. What significance does that have? Why Esther, Purim, and the blue? Because in Strong's Concordance, when you look up that word, it is H8504 to Caliph, probably for H7827, the cerulean muscle, that is the color violet or purple, obtained therefrom or stuff dyed therewith blue. So the correlation is that this is tied to purple. Now, in further studying, I did find that God's chosen color for ancient Israelite robes is tekheleth, which is violet or cerulean blue. This was on all of their robes. That is amazing and fascinating. So let's look at this and see if there are any patterns that we can see. I look at the numbers at the top. 13, 18, Numbers. So I look to Scripture. Numbers 13, 18. And see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. When we read this, it's like it's being analyzed. The land, the people. Are they strong? Are they weak? Are they few? Or are they many? It's like it's weighing, it's in the balance, being weighed and measured when we read this. So now we look to the center. 18. I was led to Psalm 18. Now, I won't read it here right at this moment because it is very long, but I encourage you, please go and read it. It's beautiful. Psalm 18 is a psalm composed by David and praises God as a rock, fortress, and deliverer. The psalm vividly describes God's powerful heavenly intervention to save him, showing God's faithfulness, strength in battle, and the reward of righteousness and faith. It is a royal hymn of thanksgiving, emphasizing that victory comes through reliance on God rather than one's own personal strength. So this is faith in God. And when you have faith in God, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished through him. Nothing. Now we look at the other side of this, 18:12. Numbers. Numbers 18:12. All the best of the oil, and all the best of the wine, and of the wheat, the first fruits of them which shall offer unto the Lord, them have I given thee. All the best of the oil, the wine, and the wheat. The best of the oil. When I think about oil, I think about Samuel anointing David with oil. And that's 1 Samuel 16:13. It shows empowerment, those who've been set apart, the oil. When I think of the wine, I think the parable of the wineskin. Should we put new wine into an old wineskin? No. You can only put new wine into a new wineskin, lest it burst the old. And that's in Matthew 9, Mark 2, and Luke 5. And I also think about Revelations, the oil and the wine. Hurt not the oil and the wine. Now, the wheat. The finest wheat to make the bread. Deuteronomy 32:14. These are the first fruits of them which they shall offer unto the Lord, them have I given thee. And I think of a gift given is a gift received. So we're going to look at this again to see if we see any more patterns. And in order to do that, we're going to have to expand time. And we'll add December to the front and April to the back. Now, when we look at this, it's very distinct. January and April have the same pattern, as well as December and March. So let's move those and place them. So April is January and December is March. The first became the last, and the last is the first. And it leaves February sitting all alone in the middle. The interesting thing about this year is that April Fool's Day is linked to a calendar change in the 16th century France, when France switched from the Julian calendar, which celebrated the new year around April 1st, to the Gregorian calendar, which moved the new year to January 1st in 1582. Now, the funny thing was that those who didn't get the message or were slow to adapt continued to celebrate in late March, early April. And these people were called April Fools and were targeted with pranks and jokes. How interesting that this little calendar snafu should be a pattern in our day and age. And the most fascinating thing to me is that this is my birthday, and I'm actually bringing this into the light. It's fascinating. It's God, and it's perfect, and He is perfect. Let's look at this calendar again. There's actually one more pattern that is hidden that needs to be revealed. Let's look at the numbers up here and see what it is. 3 and 3, 0. 3 and 21, 18. 21 and 21 is 0. This again is mimicking what we saw over here with February. What does this mean? For some reason we are to look at this. And do you remember I explained the moons, the full moons? They were 12 in 2025, but there are 13 in 2026, which would make this year, 2025, that we're still in, have 13 months. But it appears that no one is doing that. They are not making this a leap year, and I don't know why. But I think it's interesting because of the April 1st, because if this is the 13th month, then you should celebrate Purim, which would start on the 14th day. And if it's the first month, then you would celebrate Passover, which is on the 14th day. Is this God having a chuckle? I don't know. I think it's interesting. So let's take a look at this. If this is the 13th month, then it would be a Jewish leap year. And the 13th month would make Adar 1 and Adar 2. What does that mean? Whenever I was studying Esther and the Purim festival or feast, which they are celebrating on March 3rd, which is the first day of the 12th month and is a blood moon. I find that really interesting. So whenever you study Esther, on the 13th day of the 12th month was a day of fasting, mourning. And then on the 14th day, in the evening, beginning in the evening, was the day of feasting. And it would go into the next day. So the 14th and 15th days would be their feasting. So we look at this. If we were in Adar 1, then it would be celebrated on March 16th and March 17th. And if we have Adar 2, then it would be the 14th and 15th days would be April 14th and April 15th. Purim, 12th month, 13th day fasting, 14th through 15th day feasting. Main Purim. Now here's an interesting thing that I discovered. If there is an Adar 2, then the main feasting is celebrated on the 14th of Adar. Then the Shushan Purim is celebrated on the 15th of Adar 2 in walled cities like Jerusalem. Now, if there is an Adar 2, then the 14th of Adar 1 is celebrated as Purim Katan. There is no fasting or mourning. It's just celebrating. So now, that's if April is a 13th month. Now, if we consider April as the first month, or Nisan, then it's Passover, which we would celebrate on the first month, the 14th day. Then we have first fruits on the 15th day. And we have the Feast of Unleavened Bread is in the first month, and it's the 15th through the 21st days. Deuteronomy 16:1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. I just think all of this is really, really fascinating. And I know that we're being pointed to this. So is this the 13th month, or is it the first month? When we speak about changing time, did you know? Noah's Ark rested on the mountains of Ararat on the 17th day of the 7th month. Genesis 8:4. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. God later redefined Israel's calendar, changing the 7th month to the 1st month, Nisan, making the date of the ark's resting a symbol of salvation, resurrection, and a quote-unquote reset. 1st month, 17th day. Exodus 12:12. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the 1st month of the year to you. What other biblical events share this time frame? The Red Sea crossing and the resurrection of Jesus, both signifying new life and victory. So let's take a look at this one last time. I did add in September, October, November, and December, and these align with the original calendar that the good Lord showed me to make. And this is so that we can get an overall view of everything that we're looking at just in a glance. So what are we looking at? February 8th through the 25th. We know that we're being pinpointed to look at this time span. February 17th falls in this time span and is an annular solar eclipse. Shemini Atzeret, October 28th through the 29th. We now know that 7/23/24 was the first puzzle, and it converts to 7/23/24, which is October 28th and 29th. Halloween, October 31st. Lots and lots of dreams and visions, especially from children, about Halloween. Thanksgiving, November 27th. I remember one dream in particular in which she saw ashes falling from the sky and the holiday was canceled. Christmas, December 25th. The one that sticks out in my head is Philip Barnett, in which he cited 11/11 being nuclear bomb. And I know that everyone translates this to November 11th, but if we were to look at the heavenly calendar, the 11th month is February. The 11th day is 11, February 11. Purim. Now, if this is a 13th month, April is the 13th month, then it's Purim, which is on the 14th and 15th. But if it is the first month, then it's Passover, first fruits, Feast of Unleavened Bread, also 14 and 15. So we see that time is expanding and contracting, and all of these dates will actually correspond with these dates here because of time breathing. Is this a singularity? So this is the point where we go back to the original calendar. And the reason that the good Lord had me make this calendar, I do believe, is to actually show things in a way that we can't see on a spreadsheet. There are more things in this box, so you can see more numbers. You can see more patterns in it this way. And there are also things added in here for confirmations, because there are some things that people are given that are like 4 numbers or 3 numbers. So whenever they look it up, they can actually see it in here. If you go through these calendars, you can see. So I do know that one person was given be home by 4:10. And in doing these calendars, this is the only 4:10 that I've seen. And that same person was given 19 heart. And I covered this on a previous video, but I'll cover it here again because we're talking about February. So let's get started on that. I always tell you the placement of where the moon is. Now we know that the sun is currently in Capricornus from January 19th to February 15th. But on February 16th, the sun goes from Capricornus into Aquarius. So on February 1st, the moon will be in Cancer, and on February 2nd, it will be in Cancer as well. On February 3rd and 4th, the moon will be in Leo. But then on the 5th, it will transition between Leo and Virgo. On the 6th, the moon will be in the constellation Virgo. Also on the 7th. On the 8th, the moon will be in Libra, and also on the 9th. Then on the 10th and 11th, the moon will be in Scorpius. Now, I have this heart here. I explained this in a previous video, and I'll put it here again. The good Lord was telling me Antares, and I had no idea what that was. So I researched it. Antares is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius. It is positioned so that it is known as the heart of Scorpius. Now, why did I put it on here, and why is it important? It's important for the reason that it's on here for confirmation, I would suppose. But the reason that I put it on here, and it's important, is because on the 11th, the moon will occult the star Antares. Occult means that the moon covers it. So on February 11th, the moon covers the heart of the Scorpion. On February 12th, the moon will be in Ophiuchus. On the 13th and 14th, the moon will be in Sagittarius. On the 15th and 16th, the moon will be in Capricornus. And then on the 17th and 18th, the moon will be in Aquarius. This is important because this is the solar eclipse that we're looking to, because the sun and the moon will be in the same constellation in the sky, which is going to cause this annular eclipse, which is a ring of fire or a wedding ring. I want to leave you with Psalm 18. I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord, and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled, the foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly, yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. At the brightness that was before him his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the highest gave his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. Yea, he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he shot out lightnings and discomfited them. Then the channels of waters were seen, and the foundations of the world were discovered at thy rebuke. O Lord, at the blast of thy breath of thy nostrils. He sent from above, he took me, he drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy, and from them which hated me, for they were too strong for me. They prevented me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me, because he delighted in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his judgments were before me, and I did not put away his statutes from me. I was also upright before him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his eyesight. With the merciful thou wilt show thyself merciful, with an upright man thou wilt show thyself upright. With thy pure thou wilt show thyself pure, and with thy froward thou wilt show thyself froward. For thou wilt save the afflicted people, but wilt bring down high looks. For thou wilt light my candle, the Lord my God will enlighten my darkness. For by thee I have run through a troop, and by my God have I leaped over a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried, and he is a buckler to all those that trust him. For who is God save the Lord? Or who is a rock save our God? It is God that girdeth me with strength, and maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon my high places. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine hands. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip. I have pursued mine enemies, and overtaken them, neither did I turn again till they were consumed. I have wounded them, that they were not able to rise. They are fallen under my feet. For thou hast girded me with strength unto the battle. Thou hast subdued under me those that rose up against me. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. They cried, but there was none to save them, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as the dirt in the streets. Thou hast delivered me from the strivings of the people, and thou hast made me the head of thy heathen. A people whom I have not known shall serve me. As soon as they hear of me, they shall obey me. The strangers shall submit themselves unto me. The strangers shall fade away, and be afraid out of their closed places. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. It is God that avengeth me, and subdueth the people under me. He delivereth me from mine enemies. Yea, thou liftest me up above those that rise up against me. Thou hast delivered me from the violent man. Therefore will I give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the heathen, and sing praises unto thy name. Great deliverance giveth he to his king, and showeth mercy to his anointed, to David, and to his seed forevermore.